is the best fighter on the planet. Pound for pound, he's that dude. In this four-belt era, he is now the undisputed world champion 3 times over. 140 pounds, 147, now 168 pounds.
If Bud was the best, I got to give it to him. Bud the best, right? He's hands down. He's the best. He's the best right now. I don't think nobody need to question him no more. I mean, you kind of got to give him his respect no matter what. You got to give him respect. He just went up 2 weight classes what people said he couldn't do. He's doing everything that people say he can't do.
I've been a world champion, as you know, and I've been a 3-division world champion. But I've only won 1 of the belts. I don't know what it is to be undisputed. I don't know that feeling. Do you understand? What he did last night is unbelievable.
Stephen A. Smith has confronted Floyd Mayweather for downplaying Terence Crawford after his victory over Canelo. Smith insisted that Crawford accomplished something historic, pointing out that no fighter had ever achieved what Crawford has done by becoming undisputed in multiple weight divisions. He stressed that Crawford earned every bit of his legacy and deserves universal praise, not criticism. According to Smith, Crawford's triumph over Canelo was not just another win, but a defining moment that elevated his status among the all-time greats. He made it clear that Mayweather's negativity could not overshadow Crawford's remarkable accomplishment.
Is the best fighter on the planet. Pound for pound, he's that dude. In this four-belt era, he is now the undisputed world champion 3 times over. 140 pounds, 147, now 168 pounds, claiming all the belts. You don't see people doing that very often. Going up against a guy who was perceived as being bigger and stronger, Crawford was strong. Crawford was strong enough to fend him off, strong enough to make him respect his own power. He used his jab, he used his distance.
Jeff Mayweather expressed strong views about the shock Crawford handed to Canelo, emphasizing that the defeat will always leave a mark on Canelo's legacy. In his words, Canelo was the undisputed king of that division, holding both status and dominance over his opponents. Yet, he suffered a humbling loss to someone who dared to move up in weight and challenge him at his own castle. For Jeff, this was not a small blemish, but a stain that will permanently sit alongside Canelo's name in boxing history. He highlighted how champions in their prime are remembered for defining moments, and Canelo's defining moment turned out to be a devastating loss to Crawford.
But either way, he was in discussion certainly with Chavez. What did this do to his legacy? Because I don't think he caught, the Floyd fight didn't give him, people didn't really look down on, because he was, even though he had 40 fights, he was still, fighting one of the greatest ever in an absolute master. In Bivol, he went up weight classes to win. But now he's fighting a smaller guy, a great fighter, but a smaller guy. Does this damage his legacy in any way?
I think it does. I think it does because, the one thing is this, is that, you were ruling, you were the king of that weight class. And the king of that weight class for a good while. And I think that, he had a huge following because, he became the face of boxing.
And even though it's another, future Hall of Famer, still losing, losing a guy come up a couple weight classes, kind of makes you seem not as great as you might have been.
Stephen A. Smith was in awe of Crawford's victory and did not hold back his admiration. He stressed that he was present for this historic moment, making the win even more personal for him to witness. According to Smith, nobody in the history of boxing has done what Terence Crawford just achieved, moving up in weight to defeat a dominant champion like Canelo in such convincing fashion. He called it a career-defining achievement that sets Crawford apart from the rest, ensuring that this night will live forever in the sport's rich history. For Smith, it was not just a fight, but a monumental shift in how greatness is defined in boxing.
This was Terence "Bud" Crawford moving up 2 weight divisions, really 3 in my mind, because we only fought 1 fight at the junior middleweight division. So he's really moving up from 147 pounds, okay? Terence "Bud" Crawford moving up to the 168-pound limit in an effort to claim the undisputed super middleweight championship of the world from the grasp of Saul Canelo Alvarez. Now, I was there because let me tell you something right now. There's very, very few sporting events in the world that are better than a super fight in Vegas. I can tell you that right now. There's very, very few events. Props to Nick Khan of the WWE.
Crawford's trainer made it very clear after the fight that his fighter had nothing more to prove. In his view, Terrence has reached a point where respect should be unquestioned. Yet, some critics still refuse to give it. This frustration underlined the fact that despite dismantling one of the greatest names in boxing, Crawford is still battling narratives outside the ring. His trainer emphasized that Terrence is not even thinking about another fight right now, as what he did against Canelo is more than enough to cement his greatness. For Crawford, this was not about chasing names anymore. It was about establishing a legacy that cannot be denied.
Terrence Crawford and his well-renowned trainer, two-time trainer of the year and future Hall of Fame trainer, Brian Bomac McIntyre, recently did an interview in which Bomac stated that a fight is not happening. And this particular fight is a fight that everybody wanted to see Canelo Alvarez take, and Canelo Alvarez refused to take this fight with a 28-year-old two-division world champion, reigning WBC light heavyweight, former two-time WBC super middleweight, the Mexican Ecuadorian superstar boxer, who's one of my favorite fighters and a great person, David, the Mexican Ecuadorian monster Benavidez, who is 30 wins, no loss, no draw, 24 wins by way of knockout. Stands at 6'2" with a 75-inch arm reach and fights at 175. But the entire time David Benavidez was fighting at 168, Canelo Alvarez was brought up and he never accepted the fight. And so with that said, now people are trying to project this fight on Terrence Crawford. And they're saying that Terrence Crawford needs to take the fight. So Bomac yesterday did an interview and Bomac said they're not fighting David Benavidez. And so now people are pushing this notion that Terrence Crawford is ducking and Terrence Crawford is scared of David Benavidez. And if he don't fight David Benavidez, according to Boxing News 24,
Timothy Bradley gave perhaps one of the boldest assessments, comparing Crawford directly with Floyd Mayweather. He argued that Crawford's name now belongs at the very top of any greatest of all time conversation. For Bradley, this was not simply about Crawford beating Canelo. It was about redefining the very essence of what pound-for-pound #1 means. He stressed that while Floyd may have mastered the art of boxing during his era, Crawford just proved that he can do it at an even higher level by taking on and defeating Canelo at his strongest. In Bradley's eyes, this win lifted Crawford into an entirely new realm where only the absolute legends of the sport exist.
It might be too late now. It might be too late, because guess what? He done. Ain't nothing else he needs to do. Ain't nothing else he needs to do in boxing. Yep, y'all doubt him now? Y'all doubt him now? I saw some of y'all goofies on y'all channels. You come here and you get the real over here. That's what you get over here. You want the real? You want a real breakdown from a real fighter, a Hall of Famer? That's what you do. You come right here and you gonna get the real and you gonna get the truth. Dang it, that's what you gonna get. Leave them other lames alone and come right on over here. Yeah, and get the truth and nothing but the truth. I've been trying to tell y'all for years about this. Been trying to tell y'all for years about Terrence Crawford. Everybody put his resume down.
Roy Jones Jr. offered a measured perspective, pointing out that unlike when Floyd Mayweather beat Canelo years ago, this time both fighters were in their prime. He explained that Floyd had the advantage of facing a young, less experienced Canelo, which allowed him to outbox him with superior skill and ring IQ. In contrast, Crawford faced a fully mature and seasoned version of Canelo, the one who had dominated his division for years. Despite being naturally smaller, Crawford still managed to dismantle him. For Roy, this fact alone makes Crawford's achievement extraordinary, since he overcame a Canelo who was far stronger, wiser, and sharper than the one Mayweather faced.
Generational great in Canelo Alvarez, really 3 weights above his natural weight class. Does that put him in the conversation with the likes of yourself as the greatest fighter of all time?
Yes, it does, and the reason it does is because he couldn't get the credibility down in his own weight class, so he went up to go challenge himself to fight it, and he found a very formidable, good opponent.
Do you think Canelo Alvarez is on the decline or not?
No, I don't think it's on decline at all.
So you think both fighters are still at their peak, even though they're 36, 37?
Yeah, I think they're both still at their peak. The age for Crawford would seem like he may be beyond it, but he hasn't had the fights, the tough fights we'd have put him there. And the years of boxing for Canelo would have put him in a position where they're about equal. So I think they both are pretty much in a great place. I think they're both still in their primes, and this is the best time to see them fight.
Duke McKenzie was stunned by what he saw in the ring. In his view, Canelo had no answers for Crawford's relentless pressure, speed, and precision. He described the performance as unbelievable and incredible, calling it one of the most complete displays ever witnessed in modern boxing. McKenzie highlighted that Crawford not only became undisputed, but also proved himself to be practically unbeatable against even the toughest of opponents. His tone carried a mix of awe and respect, as he made it clear that Crawford has set a standard so high that very few fighters, if any, will ever reach it.
Know that feeling. Do you understand? What he did last night is unbelievable. He's a 3-time undisputed world champion, and he's beaten the best of the best. Now, for me, there were red flags way before this fight. Not way before the fight. You know, in the build up to this fight. Canelo's body language in the run up to this fight, you know, he turned up in Vegas in his stretch limo, in his Armani suit. He's had his kids and his wife in the back of the car, and he's got out and he's strolling around like he owns the gaff. Now, that all that signified to me was a very comfortable man. He was too comfortable, and Terence Crawford just kept it real from the outset. Tracksuit, no nonsense. Went there to win, said what he was going to do, told the world what he was going to do long before the fight. I think he asked for this fight many years ago. The discussion he had with Bill Haney, and I think it was him that actually suggested call out Canelo, which he laughed at the beginning, but then it came to fruition, and now it's come to fruition. I mean, what you saw in that fight yesterday, what I watched in that fight yesterday, it was for the purists. It really was, because you really have to try and understand boxing and know what you're looking at. It was the feints. It was the way that he handled the bigger man. It was the little feints, the little side steps, the little flicking with the jabs, you know, hitting him with the head and the body, the little combinations, the little 2s and 3s, and also with Crawford knowing how to close a round, knowing how to win rounds.
Trainer Robert Garcia gave one of the strongest endorsements of Crawford's greatness by arguing that he has achieved more than Floyd Mayweather in this particular context. He pointed out that Crawford convincingly won 9 to 10 rounds against Canelo and displayed a relentless hunger that Mayweather never attempted at such a high-risk level. Garcia stressed that Floyd never took the challenge of moving up and dominating a bigger champion in this manner, making Crawford's win unique and historic. For Garcia, this was not just about numbers or belts. It was about daring to take risks and succeeding, which is what separates legends from icons.
Canelo has already accomplished too much, has already done too much, and he wasn't. I don't see that hunger in him anymore. I don't see that those changes anymore. He fights flat-footed, throws one punch at a time. He's not fast anymore, and that's why I picked Crawford by decision.
Are you surprised how easy it was?
Look, not that I'm surprised, because what I just told you, I think Crawford is very talented, and Crawford is hungry to become a legend. He wanted to become that three division undisputed. He wanted to go up, he wanted to make history by going up 2 divisions to beat Canelo, one of the greatest of all time. So he was hungry for it. I think Canelo has already done so much, has made so much money, that he's not hungry anymore.
Do you think possibly that Crawford is up there with Pacquiao or Mayweather?
I think in accomplishments, he's three division undisputed, moved up 2 divisions to beat Canelo. So he's probably he's accomplished more than Mayweather for sure. Mayweather never became undisputed, but that doesn't mean he's better than Mayweather. I think in a fight at welterweight, Mayweather in his prime would beat Crawford, and Pacquiao in his prime would probably beat Crawford. But Crawford has accomplished more.
Do you think Crawford should retire after this or fight someone else?
Look, I think a rematch would be fucking good for Crawford to just beat him again and do the same thing. if Canelo doesn't have any changes, if he doesn't, he needs to do a lot of changes. Canelo needs to do a lot of changes. I think a rematch would do triple the money that he did in this fight, and then retire. But I would be so happy to hear he retires.
Brian Norman Sr. left no room for doubt when he declared that Terence Crawford's dismantling of Canelo Alvarez was far more punishing than what Floyd Mayweather had ever delivered. His words resonated with fans and analysts alike because they cut straight to the truth of what had unfolded inside the ring. Canelo, long regarded as the king of his division, was not just beaten. He was systematically broken down by a man who had climbed 2 weight classes to face him. Crawford's performance was a masterclass that redefined the meaning of greatness in modern boxing. For years, Canelo Alvarez reigned as the unquestioned ruler of the super middleweight division. He carried himself as the face of boxing, fought the biggest names, and cemented his status as one of the most marketable champions of the era. His dominance made him appear nearly untouchable, with opponents often falling short against his heavy combinations and calculated pressure. Yet, in one night, Crawford shattered that aura. What made the outcome so shocking was not just the result, but the manner in which it happened. Canelo was not outlasted or edged on the scorecards. He was outclassed and left searching for answers that never came.
I bet against Bud on Porter. I didn't think that Bud was the best. I got to give it to him. Bud the best, right? He hands down. He the best. He the best right now. I don't think nobody need to question him no more. I mean, you kind of got to give him his respect no matter what. You got to give him his respect. He just went up 2 weight classes what people said he couldn't do. He's doing everything that people say he can't do, and he is doing it with ease.
Right.
You got to respect that.
Break it down for me. How did he win that fight in the way you won it tonight?
He won the fight by gaining Canelo's respect. I think he was already in Canelo's head a little bit. I think that even though Canelo knew he was smaller and everything else, these fighters are still humans and they hear what the people are saying. Canelo was, Crawford was undefeated. Look at what he did to the Spence. I mean, look at what he's doing to some of these people. So no matter what, I mean, you have to take that into consideration. You know what I'm saying? Even no matter what he did against Makrimov or whatever else, you got to take into consideration what Bud has been known to do when it's time to do it. You know what I'm saying? So again, I think Canelo respected him, and I think that was the biggest part.
Canelo just said in the press conference that Crawford's better than Mayweather, having shared the ring with both. What do you think?
I mean, I think that's one of the things. I think that's one of the things that's it's opinionated situation because styles make fights. He beat him up. He beat Canelo up worse than Mayweather beat him up. He definitely did that. So in that case, you can ask the question: did he beat him up worse than Floyd did? Absolutely. But that would be an opinionated thing because styles make fights. You just never know. You know what I'm saying?
Different eras.
Yeah,
as well,
different eras. Different. It's a lot of things. You can't really say that.
Andre Ward, a legend in his own right, placed Crawford's victory in its rightful historical context. He described it as a generational fight, one that fans will look back on for decades as a turning point in boxing. Ward explained that moments like these are what define careers and separate great fighters from timeless legends. What impressed him most was Crawford's discipline, remaining sharp, composed, and intelligent throughout the entire bout, never allowing emotions to get in the way. For Ward, this was a goated moment that pushed Crawford into the conversation of the greatest fighters ever. By dismantling Canelo in such fashion, Crawford elevated himself to a pedestal where very few fighters in history can stand.
Beat Canelo Alvarez tonight. What was your thoughts on that performance from Terence?
Terence Crawford is a great performance, man. He's been doing this throughout the course of his career. The stakes were a lot different in this fight, a lot more danger. He had to fight that kind of fight in order to beat Canelo Alvarez tonight, and he did that at 37, but getting ready to be 38 years old. And he proved, like Max said, that he is the GOAT of this generation. Hats off to Canelo for taking the fight. He didn't have to take it. Hats off to Turkey Al-Sheikh for putting it together. Just a great night for boxing.
Yeah. How special a fighter is someone like Terence Crawford? There was no signs of a size disadvantage there. How special?
You can see it in spots, but it wasn't significant. And I didn't think it was going to be significant. And people called me crazy, but I've been around Terence. He's strong. He's got a wrestling background, and people don't realize that he's been boiling himself down all these years and still being successful, not having to do that. His condition seemed impeccable, and his strength was there, the power was there enough to get respect from Canelo. So what more can I say?
What would you like to see him do next? Do you think there's another fight after this?
I'd like to see him be done. What are we boxing for at this point? What else is there to do? There's always going to be a YouTuber or a reporter or somebody conjuring up another challenge. We box to get ourselves in a better financial position, to build a name and a legacy. Those boxes are checked. What else are we doing?
That's it for today's video. Stay tuned until next time.